we just had a blow up the other day, and it was just like, it was.
There were bugs.
There were.
There were.
I warned y'all could get emotional.
Like,
pour it right down here in the middle of the kitchen. We're taking our home and we're putting it in these amazing places. But you know what? When you want to do something, you figure it out. And I don't want to paint the picture of RV life as rose-colored glasses all the time.
So in today's video, we're going to ask the question, is it worth it to live in an RV full time? We've been doing this now for 2 years. And so we're going to ask the questions, is it worth the money? Is it worth the hassle? And there's a lot of hassles. Is it worth the uncertainty? Is it worth the drama that, and all that? And again, we're not going to come off as negative. That's not what this is about. No. We obviously do think that it's worth it because we've been doing it for 2 years. We've had some great times. We really don't know when this journey is going to end for us. People ask us that all the time, and we're like, hey, we've still got a lot of stuff that we'd like to do. So we enjoy it, but we do want to kind of give you a reality check of what it's like to just kind of leave a quote unquote normal existence like we had and become nomads.
Yeah. This is going to be great for those of you kicking the tires for full-time RV living. Those of you who are already out there doing full-time RV. In fact, if you're already out there, please watch the video and then comment to share your thoughts on being a full-timer, because we have so many newbies and people thinking about this lifestyle and people who have questions about this lifestyle. This video is for them, and anything that us full-timers can do to help these people make their decisions. If that's you, we want to help you. We want to help you make the best decision for you.
Hi, we are Barry and Darlene Nicholson. Our channel is Like There's No Tomorrow. And like I said, we started full-time RVing about 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. And people always ask us, where are we from? We're from Sarasota, Florida. Not originally. We're originally from Indiana. We've been married over 30 years. After 30...
He said 30 because he doesn't know.
It's like around... We've been married over 30 years.
We have been married 33. We've been together for 38. Yes, we met when we were 9.
Right. Anyway, so yeah. So we had 2 kids when our daughter graduated from high school, decided to go to college. That was when we made the decision to, when we became empty nesters, that our first trip was literally going to be to take her from Florida to Northern Ohio to go to college, Overland College in Ohio. And that was our first RV trip. And when we dropped her off at school, we were instantly empty nesters and full-time RVers all at once. And we went, oh crap.
Yeah. And we hadn't really driven a rig our size or really had any experience. We really went in not knowing anything. And some people think that's irresponsible. But you know what? When you want to do something, you figure it out. And that's a great lesson to learn about RV life. And let me give you a snapshot. So we were talking about this lifestyle and how it changes you and what you're getting into. So a snapshot of what our life was like before and now might be helpful to you as you get going on this. I mean, before we were working full time, we have been working digitally.
Still work full time.
Still work full time. Yeah. But we were doing the same thing. We were working at our house digitally, remotely from home. We've done that a very long time. Our kids, one was already flown the coop. Spencer had already graduated college and was living on his own. Sophia was still home with us. Like I said, we did this after she graduated. So it was a busy time. I'm busy with her graduating. We both had side things in addition to our full-time job. Yeah. Why don't you tell them about yours?
Yeah, so I'm a musician. I play bass guitar and sing. I had a band that I put together called Reverend Barry and the Funk. I'm sure we'll put a link below because we always get questions about it. And I'm sure if you want to go check out our music, we were a cover band that played for about 10 years. And we also did original music. And it was a big band. We had 8 people in the band. We had a horn section, stuff like that. And I was the band leader. So I, for a long time, I booked all the gigs. Later, I didn't, but
it was a second full-time job.
No doubt. Yeah. I mean, because we played every weekend, pretty much, for a very long time. But Darlene also had a gig. I think she kind of started doing because I was gone so much.
He was gone so much. So I had always loved costumes and costuming. Halloween was always my jam. We always had really elaborate Halloween costumes. And so I remember one day he said, hey, what are you going to do with all these costumes? I mean, I had sewing machine. I had, I created these
She
from
was
scratch.
into it.
I was into it. I always wanted to go to fashion design school when I was in high school, but that never happened. So I came across this crazy idea of taking the costumes and combining it with an entertainment for special events. So it was you're going to, when you see the video, you're going to crack up. It is strolling wine entertainment, strolling wine skirts. So basically, I would stroll around in my little metal wine holder skirt with all the wine at events and pass them out to the guests. And I also had a table that you could put hors d'oeuvres on where I was in the center of the table. The visuals explain everything. But it was busy. We were constantly going.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I would tell you about our life before. We were in that busy rut. I think a lot of you know what that is. You just stay busy. But are you really enjoying? I mean, we would try to get to the beach for sunset every blue moon, but we were just busy for the sake of being busy. And it really wasn't, I mean, it was fun. I mean, he loved his bandmates and his band and playing music. And I loved doing my costuming and stuff. But after a while, you're just sitting there on a Sunday going, I'm so stinking tired.
Yeah. Yeah. And obviously when you become empty nesters, it's a major life change. And you think, okay, so now this house is going to be even emptier than it is now. And
is this it?
Yeah.
I think that's what we were left with. Is this what we're going to do? Or what now? And so we did the full-time lifestyle, and now our life has a little, we're still working digitally full-time during Monday through Friday, right? But we're taking our home and we're putting it in these amazing places. So after work, we're going and on crazy bike rides and hikes and exploring these cities and the local culture. And that is now incorporated. The fun is incorporated into our normal day.
Yeah, 100%. So it's like, because I think, when we would go on vacation, I might get 2 weeks of vacation a year, and then one of those weeks, I was always going back to Indiana to visit family, which of course we love to do. So that means 1 week out of the year, I got to go on maybe some type of adventure. We'd usually go on a cruise or something like that, which was great. But again, it was very predictable, and so there was, so as we're making this video right now, we are in South Dakota. And we are right on this massive river that I'm going to go fishing very soon. And I'm thinking, I would never be here. I would never get to experience these types of things if I was not.
Yeah, we would never have had enough vacation to see all the amazing places and go on all the amazing adventures that we've gone on in the last 2 years.
Yeah, and that's what this is really about.
It really is. So the first thing is it worth moving away, being away from your family and your friends?
Yeah, this is a major life change. And again, you're going from living a normal life to being a nomad. And it was a big deal, obviously, for me to leave my band, not just because it was an established business. We were very popular, well known, and it was kind of a big deal. Like, what do you mean you're ending the band? But obviously more than that, it was a lot of friends. It was not just my bandmates, the fans. I had people that came to our shows that I would see, and it's just like, I'm leaving this situation, I'm putting this behind, and just moving on to a different phase in my life. It's never going to be the same. I'm never going to come back and reform that band, or it's not like I won't get into music again at some point, but that was a phase that I was leaving out of my life. So, but this is just about us. So what I'd encourage you to think about is there stuff in your life? Maybe it's not just a work kind of thing. I mean, that was more of a side hustle, I guess. But
it could be church.
Yeah, you could be doing
women's
stuff,
groups, things that you're involved with,
Yeah, I mean, like if you're a volunteer, if you're, I think about church. My brother's a pastor, and we were heavily involved in church at one time, and in sort of a leadership, sort of volunteer position, and to just uproot and leave would have been like, well, what do you mean you're leaving? You can't leave. You're in charge of this and that and the other thing. So, I mean, you have to consider, is it worth doing that?
Yeah. Another thing to think about when it comes to family, for us, a big decision was, you heard Barry say, we took our daughter, dropped her off at college, and we took her home base away.
Yeah.
So we knew that was going to be a big deal. So I sat her down way before we even got super serious. And I said, what do you feel about this? If we did not have this house anymore for you to go to, and we're different places across the country that you'll have to fly to instead, how do you feel about that? And honestly, she was all for it. I think she was excited to go to different places. sure, now that I've talked to her after it's been 2 years, she does miss her room, that comfort to come home
Yeah.
to. But she gets it, and she's excited for us. She always likes to hear about what we're doing, and to be honest, it's a little juggle flying her to where we are and that kind of thing. But she's gone to some cool places on her spring breaks and her summer breaks. So if that is something, the home, the family, the kids, the grandkids, if that is a big deal to you, that you feel like you've got to be there right there all the time, you do really need to put some thought into that. Now, we know people with grandkids that do constant FaceTimes with the grandkids. They circle around to spend longer periods of time with them than they ever would have gotten before, which is super cool. So there are solutions to that. I think it just really depends on you and what you want. We don't have grandkids yet, so that isn't something that we're have to, we haven't had to figure it out yet.
Yeah. And it's kind of hard to explain this, how you could ask if it's worth it, but we found ourselves in a position about a year in that we didn't see coming, which was we were all the way in Northern California. I mean, we were really far away
From Indiana.
From Indiana, our hometown, and we got the phone call that my stepdad had passed away. I ended up having to fly back to Evansville to obviously go to the funeral and all that. Darlene had to stay behind, and she had to stay because we had the dog. You have to ask yourself, if a family situation like that happens, is it going to be worth it to you if you find yourself in that type of situation? Because we all of a sudden we're like, well, we can't drive back. We're not going to be able to
too far away.
We'll drive from California all the way back to Indiana. I mean, we could, but it was going to be a couple of weeks, if that. And still, that was completely unrealistic. Again, at the time, both of us had full-time jobs, and so just the logistics of doing that were impossible.
Yeah.
And it's, again, these are things that you don't know that are coming. I mean, I was able to get a flight. I was able to fly home. It was fine. Everything worked out fine. But Darlene was unable to go to the funeral.
Yeah. Yeah. So these are just things you have to think about. Now, would that keep us from doing this lifestyle? Does it? No. We've figured it out every time. Our daughter was injured. We had to do some calling and checking, and that was really hard not to be there, but it all ended up working out. We have this thing, if our mothers are still alive and they're in their 80s, and we know at any time we may need to either pull the jacks up and hit the road to go to them if something happens, or be ready to fly out like Barry did. And we're okay with that. It will not keep us for doing this lifestyle, and I don't think they would want us to not do this lifestyle because of the what if. And that's a big one. There's a lot of what ifs, but you just have to decide, are you the kind of person that can go, we'll figure it out, we'll make it work? Or are you someone that really needs to be there and not have that kind of pressure? So these are just things for you to consider.
Yeah. And then you also have to ask yourself about friendships. This is going to sound terrible, but to be perfectly honest, I didn't have a lot of real close friends. I did have one in Sarasota that I consider to be a super close friend, and he was on the road all the time anyway. So we didn't see each other all that much.
And honestly, a lot of our closer friends are all over the country, and now we get to drive our rig and visit them.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but we've said this in other videos, so I don't want to belabor the point, which is, this can be a lonely existence.
Yeah.
If you're not a super social person, and even if you are, you're still around a whole bunch of other nomads. If you hang out with people, like we went to these escapers events, we've met some new people, spent, quite a few evenings sitting around campfires, getting to know people, and it's been great. But then you lose touch because you don't.
You have to cross paths again. You have to purposefully cross paths again. So we have some folks that we've met, some other YouTubers, actually, the Border Hookups, awesome people. So we have it scheduled to meet up with them later at an event they're doing. And you kind of have to do that when you meet people on the road. You have to be willing to really put yourself out there, be personal, meet the people, and then keep up with the people. Or do like we do and visit all your friends that are all over the country, which is pretty awesome. We would only get to go home to Indiana to visit family almost for a week or less at Christmas. With travel time, it's less than a week. Now, this summer, or this actually spring, we were able to spend almost 3.5 weeks there, which we never would have been able to do when we had our house and our sticks and bricks and vacation was limited. We just worked from the rig during the day and then went and visited everybody in the evenings and the weekends. So it was really an awesome change for us to be there sometime other than Christmas
Yeah.
and to just really hang out and be with them for an extended period of time. So that is a definite plus that you should put in your book for full-time RV living.
Okay, so next big question is it worth drama? And there will be drama.
There will be.
So we've talked about this in another video, and I encourage you to go back and watch it. But the thing is, again, we've been married over 30 years, but we spent a lot of time away from each other. Just our daughter is a swimmer. That's how she got on with Oberlin College, and
a lot of meets,
yeah.
A lot of hours at the pool. Just busy. Any mom that has a sports kid can tell you how much work it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then with his band life, there's a lot of practices, there's a lot of gigs, there's a lot of work that has to be done there. And so we weren't with each other. Even though we worked at home remotely, we're in different rooms. We didn't sometimes even eat lunch at the same time. It's crazy. We're not talking to each other a lot. We're working.
Right. And so to go from that type of lifestyle to a lifestyle where you're living, I mean, even though we have a 44-foot toy hauler, which is really big compared to other campers, you're still in a very small space.
Yeah, regardless of what you have, it is smaller.
It's a tiny home. Go from a tiny home situation, and you're also in a situation where you're sort of like, there's like this vibe that you need to do everything with each other all the time, which little hint, you don't.
You can get away from each other.
You need alone time. Definitely. That's why I talk about fishing all the time. Fishing is a time where I can get out of here and go do my thing in nature. Nobody's watching me. Nobody's knows what I'm doing, and I get out of her hair.
And this is just marriage in general. You got to work things out. You have to compromise. You have to be willing to work together, hear each other out. It's just more intense sometimes with the RV lifestyle. We've all seen the people lose their when they're backing in and one person's yelling at the other. Okay, that's happening. You lose your patience. It's hot outside. You're sweaty. You want to get this over with, and you snap at the other person. You don't mean to. It happens to us all the time. And it is one of those where sometimes you just have to suck it up, apologize, talk it out. But it's just different in an RV. It's more intense.
Yeah, because this is your life. This is your lifestyle. And we've said it before, and other channels have said this, and it's 100% true. If you're having problems in your marriage right now and you're not on the road, this lifestyle is not going to fix your problems. It's probably going to make them worse, and it's probably going to lead to the end of your relationship.
Yeah. So it's not going to save you. But if you're the kind of couple and the kind of people that can work things out together, hear each other out, I think that's the biggest thing is we just had a blow up the other day, and it was just like,
there were bugs. There were lots of bugs. We were at this place that there were flies. What it is about flies? You ever notice that flies tend to congregate on one side of a vehicle? It's like, so you're getting in and out of the truck and there's all these black flies and you're trying to keep them. I hate flies.
He hates bugs. I
hate this thing that bit my neck.
He gets bites.
Like
anyways,
freaking vampire.
It was a whole situation where it was tense, and he snapped, and I was like, and it was not nice. It was not nice. However, we did what we had to do. I got in the truck, and the first thing he said was, "I'm sorry. That was uncalled for." Yeah. So I warned y'all could get emotional, but it's something that happens. And I don't want to paint the picture of RV life as rose-colored glasses all the time.
No, it's not.
It's awesome. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm kind of an emotional person, so there's that. But this is the reality that I think a lot of people don't want to talk about it. But it can get intense. But is it worth it? 100%. You can overcome this stuff if you're the kind of person that's willing to put the work in to overcome it. And that's really the point. That's us. We've been together this long because we've worked it out. Many, many times we've worked it out. So, yes, you'll have those moments, but overall, what it allows you to go out and do it is life changing. This has been a life changing 2 years of amazing adventure, seeing amazing things. And are these little moments worth it? Yeah, it is.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay, here's another magic question. Is it worth the hassle? There's a lot of hassles. And one of the big hassles is just moving and setting up.
Tearing down, setting up.
We usually try to do 2 weeks at a time, most location, but that doesn't always work out.
No. So right now we're in the summer. We couldn't get 2 weeks at some of the places because we do need electric hookups because it's getting really warm. But we can't always do that. So we feel like lately we've been setting up and tearing down a lot. Now, given if you have a more simple setup, this may not be as big of a deal to you. But for us, move days are exhausting.
Yeah, we watched some of those influencers, KYD. We see you. You know,
they're too mobile. They're too easy.
They got the Airstream, and then it's like pop in and
one day
pop
here,
out.
2 days there. I'm like, no, that's not us. We have a lot of stuff.
We have a lot of stuff. And
we probably have too much stuff, but nonetheless, it is the way we like to live and travel, so we own it. But it can be kind of that. It is a hassle sometimes moving around so much, and I think some people prefer to stay months at a place, and I can see why.
Yeah, I mean, if we're leaving on a Sunday, which is most of the time, that means pretty much our Saturday nights are burned. You know, because I'm setting up all the stuff. We're making sure everything's packed up because we usually want to leave in the early in the mornings, especially if we want to dump. We want to get to the dump station before everybody else. You know, stuff like that, and it just so it kind of takes over your weekend to a certain degree.
At least the one weekend. That's why we do 2 weeks. So we have one full weekend of just enjoy yourself, you know, kind of thing. So it can be challenging. Now, trip planning can also be kind of a hassle, especially when you first start out. It is a lot to take on. I feel like after the 2 years now, I've definitely found a groove with it. Plus, we boondock a lot more. So that's a lot easier to trip plan. I mean, you do have to scout out the places and all that, but I don't have to, like, if I want to stay a little longer, we stay a little longer. You know, we don't have check-in times. So it gets a little easier with that. But trip planning can be kind of exhausting sometimes. Where are you going to go? How long are you going to be there? Can you get in? Okay, I can't get in that one. I got to go to the next one. Things like RV Trip Wizard help a lot with the planning. But you still have to put the time in and do it. And routes, you know, you just have to make sure your routes are safe. You may have to reroute due to roads collapsing in the Tetons, you know, things like that. Weather, that's another big one that may reroute you. So, you know, it can be a little bit of a hassle that way if you're moving around. If you're not moving around a lot, then it's obviously less.
Yeah. And, you know, and then the other thing, again, we're just trying to help you in your mind, compare this to the life you're living now, if you're still living in a sticks and bricks and living full time, where this is what you have to deal with all the time now. Mm-hmm. So, you know, things, just annoyances, frankly, like, you know, your air conditioners are loud.
I mean, you can get things to make them quieter, but again, you don't always have to do that.
Yeah, and maybe they don't work all that great. I mean, look, I hear you on the comments about getting mini splits. I'm probably going to install mini splits on this toy hauler if I could just figure out how to do it, or heat pumps, whatever you want to call them. That's a whole other topic. But in the meantime, we still have these we have 3 of them. We have these old, you know.
And just at campgrounds there's sounds. There's, you know, we've been near trains. There's, you know, there's smells, there's maintenance. There's so much that you don't have to do when you live in a regular house or deal with. So it's just things to keep in mind. The differences isn't enough to make us not like this lifestyle or want this lifestyle. No way. I mean, what we have found is we actually made the decision to not go to campgrounds as much, go out into nature more to eliminate some of the things that we didn't like.
Yeah. But, you know, and again, with those things, you also have to think about bugs. You got to think about mice. I got this new thing that I'm doing now to try to prevent mice from coming in. I spray water mixed with mint all over the entire RV at the bottom, just
It's
because
good for
I
ants too.
watched a YouTube video where some lady said that she did that and it kept the mice out of her RV.
So it's just stuff like that. It's just a lot of little juggle. But after, I mean, you do find your groove with it. It's not that big a deal. But when you don't know, when you're still sitting at your house and you're trying to make that decision to go full time or not, we don't want to scare it. We're not trying to paint the negative. It's just the reality of stuff breaks constantly. Little things, usually not big things. Hopefully you don't have big things. But after a while, if I find one more screw or a piece of paneling that's come ajar or a dink in my flooring, or it's just like, darn it.
Yeah, I mean, we had this thing where the rubber seal thing on the top of our slide, like when we put the slide out,
it was not flipping.
It flips under, and so we come out one time and there's just this water just like
pouring right down here in the middle of the kitchen,
and we're like, oh my god! I mean, thank God that's all it was.
Yeah.
But like, so now I have to make that part of my checklist. I go up there with the ladder and I looked, and sure enough, yesterday I had to flip that rubber back from under.
But it's just like those little annoyances. They're just that. They're just annoyances. You can work through it. So this RV life can be a little bit of hassle, but is it worth it?
Yeah.
Okay, so this one is it worth the unpredictability in this RV life?
Yeah, because stuff happens that you don't necessarily see coming, and it involves money. You're gonna need a backup fund.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just no two ways of looking about it. And I would say that if you don't have a good chunk of change put back, it's probably not a good idea.
Yeah, it's a little risky. I mean, at any time, depending on even if you have a new rig, stuff happens. Hopefully it'd be under warranty, but if you don't, your rig is a little older. I mean, things in the suspension, the tires, big things going out. If you need to be prepared, at least with some way of paying for it, so it doesn't take you off the road.
Yeah. And then, let's talk about just making money. We've had a lot of people ask us questions. Probably one of the most popular questions we get is about how we make money on the road.
Yeah, and that's why our video on remote jobs has been. We've gotten so many messages from you about it. In fact, I'm thinking about doing another one with even more ideas. So I'll put the link to the first one, and be sure to subscribe, because I'm going to come out with a second one too.
Yeah, and again, if you're new to our channel, you may be wondering what we do. We have both been in marketing for most of our careers, probably going on 20 years because we're old. But we've actually worked from home for most of those years.
Yeah.
So we were working from home back even before.
We're the OGs before COVID.
Yeah, before 2008. So we've been doing that for a long time, but still, it doesn't mean it's like total job security, because again, unpredictable. We didn't see this coming. Darlene lost her job not too long ago.
Yeah. I had worked with a company for 5 years as their marketing manager, and I knew that there was some issues, but I didn't think I was going to be the one that got let go, but I got laid off. So it happens. You just never know. I mean, I really did not think I would. I thought I'd leave them before they let me go. But it was a rough road. Yeah, and all of a sudden I was let go immediately. I got a little bit of severance. But the most painful part is we lost our benefits. Various company does not offer medical benefits. So that was a huge hit to us.
Yeah.
And so we luckily had money put back. In fact, we haven't had to tap into it too much, because the positive of this lifestyle is we were able to completely change our spending by changing the way we were camping. So we got rid of all the expensive campgrounds that were booked. We went with state parks where we could. City parks and boondocking is now in our future for a while. And we reduced a lot of our expenses on the fly immediately. And we've been able to be fine. And so if you wanted to know, I am doing freelance work, but I'm also dedicating more and more time to our channel. And we'd like to thank all of you people for subscribing. If you haven't, go do it, ring the bell and all that stuff, because you are the reason we're going right now. The more you watch our videos, the more YouTube rewards us. And so, different people come, different companies want our to support and be featured in our videos and us to share with you. So it opens up a lot more opportunity. Is it what I made before? No. But we're working on it. And
Yeah.
that's the thing is I can do freelance work and do this at the same time and keep it going. And I was able to shuck and jive because we were able to change our expenses, because back in the sticks and bricks, you can't change your mortgage.
Nope. Can't change your rent. You can't do all that. But when you're living in RV, and again, we've again, you haven't watched our videos. We do have a nice solar setup that we bought when we were both gainfully employed. And we got a nice little tax return too. That helped. But, so we did invest in solar, probably one of the best investments we've ever made. And we love boondocking. And we really love boondocking now because it's actually getting us kind of out of a bind.
Yeah.
And, so having the ability to do that, to just drop your expenses like a rock, because you can go and stay places for free, that is a cool thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, just I guess the takeaway from this is life can change, jobs can change, situations can change. Having that backup fund is very, very important. But this lifestyle allows you to be a lot more flexible, and that makes it totally worth it for us.
Yeah.
So what are you thinking after you hear all this? Do you think it's worth it? Or thought through some of these questions?
Yeah, that's the real question. Is it going to be worth it for you?
For you.
Because we do get some people who, make comments. They're like, oh, you guys are being irresponsible, but we're just different types of people. Yeah. I mean,
on that note, we've always been that kind of people. We got married very young. We immediately moved to Dallas, Texas. We had a band there. We moved that band to LA. We lived in LA. We went back to Texas, back to Indiana, and then to Florida. We've always been searching for something greater, something better, something, good. Yeah,
we're not afraid of making big moves.
No.
And that's why our channel is called Like There's No Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because we truly believe that you're not promised tomorrow.
No.
I mean, Darlene's parents are the perfect story.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna cry again. So I grew up, my parents, all they ever talked about was retirement, right? I think a lot of us can relate. They worked their fingers to the bone, waiting for retirement.
Factory jobs.
Yeah, hard work.
Yeah.
And they finally got it. And they RV'd for a while, but they were going to kill each other, so they stopped doing that. And then they went to Florida, and Daddy got sick. And that was that. And they never got that ending, So you have a choice. And I think that's what made us make this decision. It's like, we're in a good place. We can do this now before retirement. We don't have to wait. We can do it now and live this life now and see this stuff and enjoy each other now, because you never know when that story's going to end.
Yeah. I mean, thankfully we're healthy. We try to stay healthy. We try to work out and eat right, and do that because our motivation is that we don't want to get sick. We don't want to get injured. We don't want to, screw this up, and that's important too, is take care of yourself when you're on the road, because, if you go to the doctor and he's like, look, you got to get out of doing whatever this nonsense because you're going to about to drop dead because you're going to have a heart attack or something. I mean, come on, that's important as well. But we looked at it like, look, we have this time, we're not promised retirement after the age of 65 or whatever, and we would be in a very different energy state at then, I would like to think, or most likely. And because this, again, it's a lot of work. When I'm setting up and tearing down, I'm doing a lot of physical things. I'm getting up under the RV.
The adventures for us are physical. We love the hard hikes to the big peaks. We love all the big long bike rides. So this is a choice we made. And is it worth it? Is selling everything we had and selling our home and getting rid of all the stuff and living way more minimally in an RV, was it worth it? Yeah, we've seen some amazing places and I honestly can't wait when I see our schedule for the rest of the year. I'm thinking so much incredible stuff is ahead of us. And I think that's an amazing way to live, is always know that there's an amazing adventure next week or the next week or the next week.
It's about incredible experiences. It's about, this lifestyle enables you to do things that you would not otherwise be able to do if you're just going on vacation maybe a couple times a year. It just does.
Yeah. Was it a lot of sacrifice? Yeah. Is
Yeah.
it sometimes hassle? Yeah. But, I think that's what we want to get across to you is you need to ask yourself these questions and see if you think this kind of move would be worth it to you. Maybe you're not that person, and that is totally cool. And weekenders and sometimers have the best times too. But full-time RV living is a lot of work. It is, unpredictable sometimes, but it is truly amazing. And we hope that our video today helps you make the right decision for you.
Hey, I want to remind you, if you haven't signed up for our Waggle giveaway, now's the time to do it. Go to our website at likethere'snotomorrow.net and you will see where you can sign up. This is a free giveaway. As you can see, this is an unopened box. We are going to ship you this actual box that is worth $349 retail. A Waggle temperature monitor. If you have pets living in your RV, dog, cat, lizard, whatever you got, if you have some kind of creature that you need to take care of, that you're responsible for, you need to have a Waggle because it's going to help you monitor the temperature of your RV, either making sure that it doesn't get too hot, get too cold. And so it has like its own little built-in Wi-Fi that it will send you messages to let you know, hey, the camper is getting too hot. You need to get back. And that actually has happened to us. We were in Utah once and it was cool in the morning. We were out doing an excursion, but it got hot quickly. And we got a message from the Waggle saying, y'all need to get back to the RV. So, because Hugo's about to burn up in there. So we don't want that to happen to our pets. We love our pets. So again, go to likethere'snotomorrow.net, sign up for this, totally free. We're going to do the drawing at the end of this month and it's free to enter. So go enter the drawing.